Good evening and welcome to Spotlight. Exactly a few weeks, maybe days from now, on the 13th of August, millions of Zambians will walk into different polling stations across the country to make a choice that will echo for generations. They will cast their ballots not just on manifestos, but on a fundamental, deeply personal question. Are we better off today than we were years ago? Across successive administrations, from the fundamental and foundation years through the transition of power to the current UPND governance, our national journey has been a complex tapestry of economic triumphs, institutional rebuilds, policy shifts, and persistent hardships. Now, tonight, we are going to remove the partisan noise and the campaign spin and the empty rhetoric. We're going to look at the ledger. We examine our legal reforms, the pulse of our education sector, the fragile state of youth involvement in governance, and our standing on the global regional stage. Is the Zambian dream more attainable today, or are we simply trading old challenges for new ones? To dissect this, we have a brilliant mind in the studio tonight, international relations expert Edgar Silwimba, who joins us in studio. And this episode is meant to be a debate. On the other side, we are meant to be joined by a lawyer and governance expert, as well as politician Timothy Mulenga Sapato. Unfortunately, it is past 8. And the lawyer is not in studio. He was supposed to be seated right here, but unfortunately, he has not yet made it to studio. But on the other side, we do have Mr. Edgar Silwimba, the international relations expert, who joins us. We're grateful for making time to be with us, and I can see the face of disappointment that your counterpart has not made it to studio. Good evening.
Good evening, comrade, and good evening, Zambia.
We're supposed to have a very interesting conversation. I really do hope that Council Sapato does make it to studio. But let's start with you. When we look at Zambia's macro governance and our international standing, how do you frame the core question of whether Zambia is better off today than it was yesterday?
Okay, thank you very much. I must say that a country is shaped by its policies. And I think what defines governance is how best you maneuver around different sectors. Zambia's international standing in the last 15 years, probably the last 5 years of UPND has undergone serious changes. I think there's been a lot of changes in a positive direction. I think we are talking about a country which actually defaulted on its debt before 2021, 2019. We accrued so much debt as a country. We were a country which had got a lot of money. We had a Eurobond, which we had no proper plan on how best we're going to repay. You know, it's a country which at some point was undergoing an employment freeze, 2019, 2018. So the fiscal environment generally in Zambia was quite bad. The cost of living was absolutely horrible in this country. I remember at some point you would read different tabloids, Bloomberg, where nothing good about our economy or our currency was spoken about because little could be done to resuscitate our economy. Fast forward 2021, 2022, our government embarked on a journey to economic restoration or economic recovery through the debt restructuring procedure. Quite a mammoth task, which meant that this country needed to prove to its creditors, their capacity to pay back the money, and also what other means could be engineered to ensure that we are able to pay back, because we were an economy which was not growing, but which was just dwindling with time. So President Hakainde Hichilema assembles a strong team, the Minister of Finance and his team, different technical experts, financial experts, economists in the team, to ensure that we convince the people we owe money that we could find a better way of paying this money with proper interest rates, which will allow us as well to handle our fiscal environment. And these are conversations which were engineered through the G20 framework, where we are now able to see Zambia successfully restructuring its debt. Of course, countries like China were highly involved because we were owing quite a lot of money to the Chinese. But it was not an easy task, because I know that in 2020, if you can recall, comrade, we had posters made throughout the country that we are heading somewhere in terms of debt restructuring, which the PF at that point felt, because that was the only way this economy would get back to its running shoes. So we're grateful that the conversation around Zambia in the international space now is no longer about a country which is defaulting on its debt, but it's about a country which is on an economic restoration. And kudos to all the parties involved. I must use this opportunity to thank the president for assembling quite a dependable team, which has been able to help us restructure the debt successfully. We still have a few issues here and there, but I must say that with the latest development, the G20 framework, where we are on the Eurobond, we actually a buyback conversation has been achieved with the Zambian government, and we are seen as moving towards the African Development Bank, where we'll be able to repay this money on a much lower interest rates, which will allow us to get back money and reinvest in our economy. So it's a country which will not put shame on you. If you sit on a plane today, comrade, you can easily say, I am coming from Zambia, and a country on the rise. And the indicators are open to human eye. It's not a microscopic conversation which needs you to look into a lens for you to see what's happening. It's a country on the rise, So I believe these indicators should be able to give us an overview of where we are going as a country. But for the very fact that we were able to structure our debt, this opened up several other doors. I'll bring you quick to speed that because of that, it has broadened the fiscal environment to enable our country, to enable our government to be able to employ or create employment. So we saw a mammoth record employment, over 30,000 health workers, and over coming from a backlog of about 70,000 teachers unemployed by then. And here comes the government, which is willing to offset almost half that number. In just 5 years. I believe in Southern Africa we've not seen any government. If I'm wrong, one should actually bring facts. But I will tell you that there's no country in Africa which has recruited such a number at once in the last 20 years. So such kind of statistics are something you and I should be proud of, because somebody has been given an opportunity, and this is what grows the economy. You increase the human capital. So I believe we have a lot of things to point at. The growth in the energy sector. It is just a few months ago when we are all celebrating the 4.5 million metric tons of maize. An example of a country heading the right way in terms of the agricultural sector. Increasing yield per hectare. It means that they are deliberate steps. You don't just produce 4.5 million metric tons of maize. It's not rocket science. There must be deliberate measures taken by such a government, such a people. So, and kudos to the Zambian people as well for responding positively to policy implementation by the government. We have seen an increase in the numbers of people on FISIP. The e-voucher, a very successful agricultural policy implementation. Where now this time around farmers are successfully redeeming their produce or probably implements. And we have seen that this has a proven record. So there's been systematic growth, and I tell people that the growth is distributed evenly. The education sector, the health sector, the agriculture sector, the energy sector. So the agriculture sector, we have seen government implementing projects like PDAC, ZAMGRO, where tractors have been bought for different FTCs in the country, farmer training centers, with the view of just expanding mechanization, teaching farmers on the modern methods of agricultural practices. All these are deliberate measures by a government, which means, diversifying from largely dependence on copper to now agriculture. So these industries which are helping to supplement, what or change the narrative of Zambia being copper dependent. But this time around, we're not only depending on mining. Here is a country on the rise, the energy sector. Look at how many solar plants the government is building today.
And before we get into the sector conversation, that was your opening statement on whether Zambia is better off today than it was before. Critics argue that Zambia today is not better than it was before. Just 2 days ago, one of the opposition leaders aspiring for presidential running mate office, Makebi Zulu, made a statement that should he and his presidential candidate, Brian Mundubile, win, this election, they are going to, lead the way the former President Edgar Lungu led this country, and that they're going to go back to how this country was being run under that particular regime. Now, if you had to respond to that particular, statement, what would you say? Because according to him and those that support him, Zambia was better.
You see, politics which is not pro-poor centered, or an agenda which is not pro-poor centered, obviously will seek to enrich a few people. And I will tell you one thing, is that I know for sure that during the PF regime, the few minority benefited largely, extensively, such that they would do anything possible to get back to power. And in doing so, covert programs will be engineered just to ensure that they return to power. Propaganda will be done to ensure they return to power. But the argument sits with us citizens. To what extent did ordinary people benefit from PF? To what extent did the marketeer somewhere benefit from PF? To what extent did the farmer somewhere benefit from PF? To what extent did a student benefit from PF? To what extent did ordinary citizens who are today getting social cash transfer, the old people up to 1,000 kwacha, benefit from PF? So it was a rogue government, mad with corruption scandals. So distribution of wealth was not evenly. So if you're going to argue that we're coming back and would like to even keep you better, this is a country which was becoming a fragile state. It was becoming ungovernable. The police couldn't defend ordinary citizens because the cadres had more power and authority more than the police. It was becoming a fragile state, a banana republic, so to say. So you with the given demographics, it's a conversation which has got quantitative, which can be attached to quantitative debate, because if one is going to talk about them doing better than these are, one should give us dynamics. In what's the context? Is it because they were able to fly to Dubai with their girlfriends and the majority could not? And this time around, probably they can't access contracts and the majority could not, of which they did. What are the comparisons if you're talking about Zambians lived better? What is this better? There's free education today, Comrade Konjera. There's free education. Go to University of Zambia today. Meal allowances have been brought back. That's living better. There's a school feeding program. That's living better. Those are pro-poor policies which benefit the ordinary citizen.
There are also claims on free education that, the free education was not something that the current administration must brag about, because it was not started by this particular administration. These are messages, that we are getting on the campaign trail as, different political parties are campaigning, and the former ruling party, which is now dressed differently under Tonse Alliance, says they started free education.
Good things. Everyone wants to be part of a good story. If you are very successful, you have a successful story, somebody will come and say, Mr. Nkonjera, you are seeing today, I was actually the mentor to that young man. And obviously, so many people who attest and give stories that they've been part of your story because you're successful. If free education was not a successful project as it is now as successful, the PF or NRUP people who are probably supposedly saying they've been part of it from inception, wouldn't be talking about it because it's not a good story to tell. But because it's a successful project in Zambia, it's a successful project in the last 5 years. That is why they're comfortable to jump on it and say, we began it. But trust me, if they began it, did we have free education in PF? We are citizens to give testimony. We are not living in a bubble. These are things citizens can see. Today, I remember when I was in my 9th grade, I actually finished my high school just immediately, I think in 2012 at the Ranger Boys, and PF got into power in 2011. By 2012, we were still paying examination fees. And even after I finished my school, I was just from paying for my young sister's examination fee in 2021. But here comes President Hakainde Hichilema, scraps off examination fees. Kids are writing exams for free. Did PF do this? All these things are measures to ensure that you give an ordinary citizen an opportunity to attain education. And these are pro-poor policies. For me, I don't support leaders based on region, based on race, but I support people based on ideological composition. And the composition of what we are seeing now, the current administration, speaks to what can generate ordinary people into billionaires. It speaks to what can build an environment where people had no hope, and today they have a chance to build their lives. Talk about TVET and CDF bursaries today. I had a chance, comrade, to have visited Lukasha Trades Institute in the last few days in northern Zambia. And I must mention that I was astonished to see to what extent citizens are benefiting from CDF bursaries. These are people who are coming from marginalized communities and families, but they're able to attend college education for free. And on top of that, the government pays them about 850 kwacha every month. And this, you can't call such a government a failed government. The trade schools in Zambia, the skill set was gone. We didn't have a skill set. You couldn't find a carpenter. You couldn't find a plumber. Big economies have been built by such people. You need enough human resource to build your economy. And such an agenda, I believe such an agenda is what we should embrace. As citizens, let's respond to policy. Let's respond to agenda. We should look at what are the demographics, what are the indicators to what can grow our economy. In the next 20 years, in the next 15 years, this country will have enough manpower to develop. You want to open a plant. This is why when the Chinese were coming to Zambia, they were coming with their own plumbers and carpenters because there was no one to do such. If they come to Zambia, they are building a hospital. They will struggle to find 5 electricians, and the Chinese would bring their own manpower because we didn't have enough human resource. But this time around, in the next 5 years, we will be able to confidently say, if you're coming to build a hospital here with us to build this, we have enough engineers around. We have enough craftsmen around. So it is what you need to build an economy. But above all, it's because this opportunity is being given to a citizen for free, a Zambian for free. Give me reasons why we shouldn't give such an administration a second chance.
Well, we're going to be getting into, another segment. But before we do that, let me allow for this segment callers. I can see the phone is ringing. If you do have a question for our guest tonight, please do go ahead and ask that particular question. Remember Tonight's edition of Spotlight is meant to be a debate, and the question is Zambia better off today? We ask this question because on the 13th of August, Zambians are going to be making that decision known as they cast that ballot. We're supposed to have been joined by Timothy Mulenga Sapato, Council. Unfortunately, he has not yet joined, but we are in studio with Mr. Edgar Siluimba, who is an international relations expert, sharing his opinion on the status quo today. Hello, good evening. Good evening, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay.
All right, what is your name?
Good evening, the panelist. How are you, sir?
Good evening, comrade. How are you?
I'm okay. Call me Mateo, and I'm calling from Rwanda.
Mr. Mateo,
in particular.
thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Yes. Sir, I'm seconding what you are saying. Sometimes we have to learn to appreciate people. The current president has done it in many sectors. Let's talk about the pensioners, the people who worked from Lamcos. They are getting money from today after 26 years. Let's talk about free education. The one we are talking about today has done it. So as Zambians, let us stop to be lazy. Let us be responsible in everything. Many people are crying today. They are too lazy. We are used to get things from the silver plate. We don't learn to work. All we want is from hand to mouth. So, as Zambians, please, let us appreciate this man. This man has done it. Let us give him another chance so that he can complete his agenda for the betterment of a poor Zambian. Let us stop to be selfish people. Let us see the future. If we sentulirira abaana beeso abaleeyisa ku ntanshi fwebe nga wamye ekyalo poko bati abaana beeso bakeesa eikala bwino ku ntanshi nifwebo.
All right.
So kikyakuliralira out of frustration just because you don't want to work, you don't want to be responsible, we are crying anyhow. Let's stop. Let us be responsible. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mateo from the Copper Belt. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. All right, kindly remember to turn down the volume when you call in. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. All right, please do try to call back. We can barely hear what you are saying. And remember, when you call in and we pick your call, turn down the volume from your TV set so that there is no feedback. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Mwabondeni.
Mkwaibarishani.
Branda na Godfrey Lungu Karampa one direct from Kawe Katondo.
Godfrey to atotera sana la landen po tumfwe na mwetu.
Kulingana neso ningalanda popo ena bo abe shiroko bakana besabeni Yesu. Ocho ndefo kubebako. Balela ndokwe bati ifo fwe balebira babutunguru shwa wa president wa Idigalungu. Tufwa fesi abapasi ubapre. Inendi muntu mo wombesha. Buka 03 ninjingiramo fiudi. Mwamufwa? Ero futi ngande wombera muloko ndateka nenkoko pamake. Buka 05 ndi pamake. Futi nawe nene bufama. Na aliyesho kwa ati wampere fertilizer safu programu idabale mbambera po. Ukuiza pali sisi punaliwa pa sisi. Twabaseti batupera 4 packs kuwa kwa kana mameja. Inti wabiala pashani.
Alright.
Iyo elande yo free education. Na inewe na bana bandi bana free education. Number of free education. Ta pari ekyo ile bombapo bayamero panono. Yo free education baba wanu ababa mumishi bali kotaba mitabako chako na bana baba kuma skulu. bakwire babombera bati uli wonso mwina Zambia asekeramo wezaala ku skulu ya ku skulu babweka cost of living babweka $14 hours babweka obunga 250 babweka fertilizer babweka obunga 50 kwacha babweka na fertilizer 250 babweka na fuel otwo kwacha batulaire.
Kalabe saba Godfrey, ayama point mulelanda na lami pusha panono pantu mwafisankanya sana. Kamwalanda ati free education taile bomba lelo abana benu bale kuma skulu lelo mulelanda ati bambi kumishi bakote mulefo kulanda chani hapo.
Ina abana bandinga mwamona kurumu.
So kuli mwena abana benu free education ile bomba bataba kumishita ile bomba.
Inene kandera ndapalwa ndineka nota bali komo.
Landentu.
Ninkwata abana bali 4. Uli ba PF na leri plan 200 kwata per term. Uli umomwana na leri plan 600 kwata ye. Bali abali 4 na leri plan 6 times 4 2.4. Nombo high cost of living baturunde ko pabana bali 4. Nga nshikwa tenda na makusto bunga na le tuma bana tikashikeni pamera 5 kwacha tware kwa nakatu abana bali 5 kwacha chumburo de tware posa tapamera 10 kwacha bati pani leso deposo bunga pamera pa kupimisha abana ede lebo akupimisha deposa 50 kwacha ede kala jina next year 2 kwacha bati pani lero ndesta 10 kwacha akasuba 10 kwacha chumburo. So at the end of the year kuri yo 2.4 mwapumisha ko kuri free education na munchita adi ndeposa indalamesha kufunga abana epo na leposa abana 2.4 ndeposo lo 20,000 kwacha edia 2.4. So free education tapa inoso ile bomba.
All right. Tuatasha ba Godfrey.
Ira kwa bantu no tumele free education na mujo kwa tule tura pano pachalo.
All right, well, Godfrey, tuatotela sana. All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, thank you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
All right, my name is Brian Kakoma.
All right, Mr. Kakoma, where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling you from Northwestern.
Mr. Kakoma, thank you very much for your call. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, moderator, and thank you, our guest. My contribution is that in Zambia, we should learn to appreciate people and we should learn to appreciate our leaders.
Right.
On anything that they are doing, because if we keep on reversing things to say no, we expect this to be at a lower price, or maybe we want this to be like this, I think that will not work. Since up to date, things have been changing all along. You don't expect us to go back to UNIP as for today or as of today, no. Let's appreciate the economy and let's appreciate what the President Hakainde Hichilema has done for the nation.
All right.
We can't do the reverse issues here and there all along. No, we can't do that. Time has gone. It's high time that we have to change our mindset, and people should be hardworking. We can't be expecting to have things on the silver plate there and then. For how long are we going to live that type of life or that kind of life? We can't, my leader. The best is to work hard, and the best is to appreciate the economy of the country. There are only few things that we expect to contribute to His Excellency to say, can you please do this and this for people, or to have heart to the Zambian people, so that maybe somehow, somewhere, we can harmonize the situation. Otherwise, we just have to appreciate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kakoma, for that contribution. You two can call in and pose a question. We so far have only had one question, and would love to get maybe another question as we, get to ask further questions to our guest tonight. I hope this is a question. Hello. Good evening.
Evening, how are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you. What is your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
This is Justin Sinwara from Lusaka.
Thank you, Justin. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just appreciative for this current government.
All right.
So far from the time where we came from and this time around.
Okay.
The first thing that I want to appreciate for the government, the current government, is freedom of speech, and freedom of speech, and we are free to move, and we are free to talk. And this previous regime, we are so in trouble. So for those who are saying, no, this previous government was better than this one, those are the same people who are benefiting and who are doing bad things, from gassing, from robbing people, being junkie in other areas. But this time around, yes, there's free education. Free education, it wasn't there in PF. This time around, there's no one who is still paying school fees from grade 10 until grade 12.
Right.
So this time around, I really appreciate the current government, President Zambia Chilema, what he has done. He paid the debt crisis, what the PF left, and they are trying to regroup again to come back, which they are still the same people. So for this time around, we can't go back. We need to look forward, because this time around, Zambia, Zambia, at least even the investors, they are coming into Zambia. Those previous days, Zambia change of vehicles so good, Zambia depart, Zambia react. So we really appreciate for the President and what he has really done for the country. Everyone is doing proper things. Everyone is really moving freely. Everyone, even the campaigning, they are freely campaigning. Those days, because the bloodshedding.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah.
All right, that was a call from right here in Rhodes Park. That's our neighbor. Mr. Sulimba, I got one question from one of our callers, and he's from Kabwe. He said the free education that the current administration is talking about, as well as the points that you've emphasized concerning free education, is not something to write home about, because he, due to the high cost of living, has ended up spending more to sustain the livelihood of his, family as compared to how it was before. So he prefers before than today. I think that was what I got. So he says, are you saying that his hard work amounts to nothing?
Interesting. First of all, I must make mention that I have a problem with people who don't see the value of education. We are a nation which should actually prosecute people who don't see the value of education. If there was an opportunity to do so, such people don't mean well for the nation. The free education which is being attained today, or which probably was a policy pronouncement that which has come to effect by this regime, is a deliberate push to ensure that you give an opportunity to somebody. If he had a chance to even pay school fees, he's very lucky. But they were the majority of people. You have got thousands or probably millions of parents out there who could not afford even to pay that 90 kwacha for exam fee. So if unfortunately, if he doesn't value education as much as others do, maybe for him this has little impact. But I know that there's a child out there in Chitulika, there's a parent out there in Kaputa, there's a parent out there in Sorwezi, in Mushindamo, who couldn't afford to pay examination fee. There are kids, Comrade Konjera, who failed to sit for exams because of that 91 kwacha, the 500 kwacha exam fee for 420 grade 9 examination fee. 450 grade 12 examination fee, whatever it was. But there are kids who stayed away from school. Up to now, they missed an opportunity to be educated because of that very small figure he thinks has no impact. So, if you had expenses and other expenses have been taken away from you, it means your life has been made easy. What is important is make good use of what opportunities have remained within yourself. If he's a farmer, let him just maximize on the farming. But he has nothing to worry about kids going to school. The government is feeding your kids at school. Later on, they are given an assurance that when they're done with high school, they're going to go to university for free. They are going to go to a TVET institution for free. They will access. So the basics have been met. At least a common human being will have an opportunity to attain education. There's a lot of hope in education. I believe, and I must thank the president, the first thing he considered before doing anything else, even amidst huge debt this country was having, was to ensure that, first of all, he gives an opportunity for an ordinary Zambian to go to school. Through CDF, schools have been built. Through CDF, desks were bought. A deliberate push just to ensure that education standards in Zambia are improved. I know the argument has come forth several times that the pupil-teacher ratio has gradually increased because of the high number of enrollment. But I believe it's a step in the right direction to introduce free education, because the next thing the government did was to employ teachers and to expand the capacity in terms of classrooms in the country. Schools have been built. But of course, we can't get to where we want to be in a second. But that is not reason enough to have kids stay at home. So we couldn't wait. And first of all, when we finish building 1,000 classroom blocks, then we'll open up so that kids can go to school. Whose child did we want to stay at home? Every Zambian deserves an equal share in the national cake. So this is just a leader who wants to distribute resources.
So the argument of quality education here, how do you respond to this argument? I know these are dynamics with regards the teacher-pupil ratio that come in, but largely a concern that has been there is the quality of education. How much more time, given these developments that the UPND administration has, started? Do you think, realistically speaking, it is going to take for the over 2 million? And I'm very certain that when we get into this, by next year, we're probably going to have more children also getting to schools. But how much more time, realistically, should a Zambian give the UPND administration to ensure that there's, a better teacher-pupil ratio in this education sector?
To build China to where it is today, it began with a step. Comrade Chairman Mao Zedong, may his soul rest in peace, engineered such kind of policies. And almost every child in China was going to school. And look at the Chinese population by then, either it was still quite a huge population. But there was an explosion. There was a revolution where kids were going to school because the government had made it mandatory that every child has to go to school and attend at least some basic education. But this does not mean that you are going to get to a level of Singapore in a day where you have five pupils in a class and you've got 3 teachers. We're not at that level. But what I can tell you is that with where we are now, it is something which can give you basic education enough to get you to propel, enough to get you to university, enough to make you a competitive academician. So we'll not be to where England is today, where we expect our education system to be to where our friends are in the West, but where we are moving the step in the right direction. And I must say that because building classrooms in Zambia is an ongoing process through CDF. Devolution has allowed people to choose what they want because now money sits with the people. So if in that area, and I must say that this conversation about overcrowding is relative. It's not a conversation which you find in Matero, also in Chawama. In certain parts of the country, probably they didn't even need as much classrooms. Probably the population in that constituency is smaller. But one thing I must love is that there's a deliberate push by the government pushing local authorities, pushing constituencies that you should build schools. And I think schools were a priority. We saw the first 3 years of the UPND administration was infrastructure centered on health, with the view that when we reduce maternal deaths would actually improve the environment. So schools were built, hospitals were built. And it's not that this is the end of the beginning. Schools are still being built, even as we speak today, comrade. If we go to different councils are now planning for 2026, 2027 CDF, schools are being added. So this will still be an ongoing. This country's population is growing every day. There will never be any point where we have to stop building schools. There should never be any point where we should stop recruiting teachers. My comrade, the earlier speaker, says we were better off in PF. But PF didn't employ teachers. They employed very few. They employed about 11,000. UPND has employed almost 4 times that number. as a response to the education policy of free education to ensure that they increase the teacher pupil ratio. So they are deliberate steps, so the conversation has not been left unattended to. But what I must assure my comrade out there, my older brother there, my father out there, my grandfather out there, that it's a nation on the rise. We can't get to the summit of the table in a second. It's like a football league. You win one game today, you draw the next one, you win 2 games, you win 3 games, eventually you stabilize. And that is where we are coming from, because I must, as we have these arguments as citizens, we must know where are we coming from. This is the country which was economically grounded, you understand, right? So to a level that you are able to provide basic education for free, it is a miracle. It is a governance genius. It's something unheard of. It takes prudency in terms of leadership. The little resources have to be used in the right manner. It's not that we are a very rich country at the moment. It's just that we've had leadership which prioritizes education, leadership which prioritizes savings. We're talking about us having reserves today. It's prudency in governance. Right. And that is what we should be proud of as Zambians. When I was in Malawi, somebody was telling me, Zambia school in Mahara. You understand, right? It's better. People would even wish to be in this country. So I know that we are not where we should be, but the journey is pointing to a greater Zambia.
All right. Let me bring in a critical component of Zambia's governance, and I know this is right at your heart because you are involved in the youth movement. We cannot talk about the upcoming general elections on the 13th of August without talking about the demographic that holds both the largest voting power and the deepest frustrations, the youth. We talk about youth involvement, in governance, but is it merely tokenism or is it true empowerment that is being given to these young people? Are young people driving the policy conversations themselves, or are they merely being used to mobilize, as campaign foot soldiers?
I think I must say that I'm a proud Zambian because I was one of the people who championed Bill 7. Though it was a bit unfashionable to do so at that time because there was a lot of propaganda surrounding the bill. But I'm glad today that we know that in the next few weeks, not months, we have youths been appointed to parliament. Whether voted for or not, this time around we are guaranteed representation in parliament. A good shift in terms of what a nation should do to deliberately have youth inclusivity in governance. And this one, I must salute the president. I must salute the members of parliament who took part in this constitutional amendment. Because this is, for the longest time, we always cried that the government is not inclusive. But this time around, it will not be up to the president. It will not be up to the sitting president, or it will be a constitutional matter, a constitutional obligation that youths have to be given an equal share in governance. This time around, I have a lot of comrades, young people who are standing in various parliamentary seats. You go to Mwense, you've got Susan Mulala, you've got Shadrach. These are young people. But trust me, I've had conversations with these people. It's not an easy conversation in terms of financial generation, resources in terms of campaign. It's very difficult for the young people. They have no capacity to do politics. But this time around, despite that you not having capacity, there's an opportunity for the young. There's an opportunity for women to go to parliament through the constitution. So it will not be out of the president's discretion anymore. And he is such a leader who channels such an agenda. He is such a leader who channels such an agenda that disabled people should have a chance to go to parliament with or without money. The young people will have a chance to go to parliament with or without money. All you need to do is get involved in governance in one or the other so that you can show that you have capacity. But otherwise, Comrade Konjera, in the next few weeks, we'll have young people in parliament. We thought it's a dream, but it's coming. We'll have the young people in parliament with or without being voted for. The constitution compels a sitting head of state to do so. Parties will. It will not actually even be UPND. Even other political parties, those who get the much needed threshold, they will have the representative to parliament. So it doesn't only actually give an advantage to the ruling party. It's an opportunity for parties, youths, even from other parties like NRUP, Socialist. You know, I will have comrades of my age, of my age, even younger, probably in parliament. So, what reason do we have to not probably give such a leader an opportunity to continue?
No,
the policies are pointing to growth in terms of democratic dispensation. Because for the longest time, we never had people to speak on our behalf in parliament. Parliament had people who had overstayed 20 years, 30 years in parliament, 15 years in parliament. For you to have capacity to stand as a member of parliament, you should have been, this is why only businessmen were making it to parliament, because the young, we didn't have the capacity. You need a budget of almost 2.5 million to actively compete in a parliamentary seat. But where would the money come from? You see, here is a 27-year-old boy. But this time around, through that Bill 7 Constitution Amendment, young who have an opportunity, not solo, in the next 3 weeks, who have young people in parliament. 3 weeks from now, who have young people in parliament. 3 weeks from now, who have disabled people in parliament. 3 weeks from now, who have deliberate push women in parliament. A product, an engineering genius from President Hakainde Hichilema's administration. So who are we to say such a leader is a bad man? I know every citizen has an opinion, but let your opinion be factual. If we are going to argue against, then let us bring the merits on the table. That this is not good for governance.
All right. Before I bring in the last and final part of our conversation, I would love to open the phone line once again to our viewers watching us across the country and those watching us across Africa from the Azam decoder on channel 494. Please do call in and let us know what your take is on the topic of discussion for tonight. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Moderator?
Very fine, thank you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, my name is Philemon from Chitulika, Zambia, Muchinga province.
Mr. Philemon, we are grateful and we are glad Muchinga is locked in. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Bwana guest there.
Good evening, Mr. Philemon.
Thank you. No, you said everything. You know, I don't want to add or subtract. Indeed, is Zambia better off today? Yes, according to the question on the screen there. Yes. Allow me to comment on the distribution of development.
Right.
You know, where we are coming from, Mr. Moderator, we only saw development in Kawama. Kawama has got 90% of third roads at the expense of me and others in the rural areas. They haven't even seen tarmac. You know, that's why the head of state is struggling, convincing people there in Luano to say, to come pay a tarmac, even if Funaburi. So tarmac under this government for the first time. And people were treated to say, Kualikule Misevo, Kualikulama school. This is they have Kula Dama school. Why are these schools crowded? Which means something is wrong. There are no classrooms. People during rain season, Mr. Moderator, learners used not to go to school. Now this time at least my 1x4, my 1x3 have made a difference. CDF has been done, it has done digitally, equitably, fairly, on the same time everywhere throughout the country. Where we are coming from, Mr. Moderator, 1.6 was given in pieces. Others were not even given after 2 years, especially in this stronghold of opposition. This is where we are coming from. Otherwise, a lot has been said by your guest. I'm urging a well-living Zambian that let us just go with Bali. Because Mr. Bali has shown you what he has done. Giving him another chance, I think this country will be a marvel to watch. May God bless both of you. May God bless Mr. Bali and the listen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Philemon from Chitulika. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, comrade.
Comrade, good evening. It's been a while. How are you doing this evening, Vachilesh?
I'm all right. Just good evening.
Good evening, Comrade Chileshe.
Thank you. My name is Chileshe from Garden.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. To answer your question direct without beating around the bush, the Zambian have agreed to say that we stick or die with President Hakainde Hichilema for various reasons.
Right.
Number one, this is a president who has managed to grow the economy from negative to positive. Why should I go to the one who led the country into negative? Number two, this is a president who has managed to put 5 generators at Kaliba. People were given money to put 5 there. This is the president who has paid all the farmers and increased the price. You can see the data there from how we were getting paid from PF up to UPN. He has prioritized the interest and the hard-working farmers to increase the maize price. Not only that, today when you go to school, you know, if it's 12 hours, 13.
All right. Unfortunately, we lost that line. I pick one last call and then we get back to our guest tonight. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. This is Mansa speaking from Chingola.
Mr. Mwansa from Chingola, thank you for the call. Please go ahead.
Ndolanda kuli alikupana
Mkwe.
Tubaleta shokwe watu walingisha 30,000, 40,000 cha mtango. Nomba, kuna kilifyo buno kungisha wengi sana watu sana wana wengi sana. But looking at the economic situation, umone wena balengisha abanenu abakumine ko balengisha panono kulinga na nempisho ishali mu makokazi ya Zambia. Kekwe ati bale lufyanya yo and ngamwati muchite compare ama next na baticho kuingisha over minus production mkwete public export. Where are we going to get foreign exchange? Pakuna mule tu like ati ama bottlenecks. Those are bottlenecks you are employing. But bafide okubapo baticha na nama next. Nomba kulinga bakira jamenshi balinga novunga. Take over employer but mono kutira kitulebo mbabuno take tuyo kubayo. Bale neno nabo bale infrastructure bale kula amasukulu shipatala bale kula. Nababenye abatwalirira nga n'abakiteeko fino mukikire. Nomba teko ati yonze mule imbazi ati CDF na wewe muletera mu accounting. Kabachibana okubomba. You are not competent to kula school wa muntu ono kandi. Kona uratenda rama. Those people must be sent to the
Bamwansa uko kumyenu kumapela ko example ya chikulwa ocho bakula ocho tabakula mukonkano fu balingiro kukula
people want ama schools na yali overcrowded.
Les schools Bamwansa
150
Bamwansa
class. Hello,
ndefa mumfuisha bwino sana question mlandilo kutira CDF iyo into baleta kisha kutira kuli CDF ama councils tabeshibe ukukula tabeshibe okubomfi tabeshibe okukula ama company yo balepera okukula tonachanda na chuko kumyenu kuti mwalanga ku company iskulu limo olwe chikulu achimo echo bafiro okukula mulando kwe bati tabayishiba
tabakula kusikulu ayo batange sikulu yafine kyakulu akale echo bale wamisha yafine bawamisha kyapwa
so emiwa misha eshiri bwino
mumone imisebo muno tenga temulukungu
Bamwansa nachafuaisha sana Bamwansa
Hello,
nachafuaisha sana conversation yesu ngamwalande chintu chimo twaumfuikisha fo mwalanda pantu mwalanda pamisebo mwalanda pamikulile mwalanda na pali CDF mwalanda na pali capacity ukanaishiba
nalanda popanti CDF ilanja kimpaka nomba ama development munuma township tamwara
niku township nshukushiri development mwikala kwisalo bali
ikabondi sindika.
All right, Wamansa to Atasha San. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Sulimba. I'll allow you respond to the callers. The last caller, I really wanted to get specifically what he was meaning, but I hope you did get the gist of his argument. He says you are talking about development through CDF, and you're talking about employment. You have this administration has overemployed. People are hungry. What is your response to his thoughts?
First of all, I'm happy that he acknowledges that it has overemployed. Isn't that a positive thing? If it has overemployed, and I'm glad that somebody from Kabundi, it's not me speaking, it's him saying the government has overemployed. Testimonies coming from citizens themselves.
But even with the overemployment,
if you expose this conversation to somebody who was waiting for employment for over 15 years, and you tell them that the government was not, they didn't do a right thing to employ you, trust me, they will not leave you alive. These are people today who are changing lives for their families. They're taking care of their families today because of the employment given to them. And today you come on TV and tell them that the government didn't do a good job to overemploy. You had a backlog of about 70,000 people unemployed. Teachers. Here comes the government, deliberately pushing to over half of that number. Look at how many dependents, if you're talking about these 30,000 people, how many people are they taking care of under their care today? There's a ripple effect to the economy. So it's the argument to say, this is why in the initial say they said, we are not where we should be, but we are in a journey to get where we should be. And the indicators are there. You can get off a bus, which has a good driver, you have a comfortable seat, and it's heading the right way. It has no breakdown. Why should you get off such a bus?
Right.
We have no reasons to abandon such a leader. I must tell people that this time around, we need to introspect these leaders. Here is somebody who goes on set and tells people that I'm going to clear off all your utility bills. You can't do such a thing. Where will you get the money from? This is the same conversation we had in the 2000s when Comrade Republican President by then Chiluba became president. Politics of appeasement. Houses which were meant for local government were sold to people at 10 kwacha. We can't afford to repeat such mistakes. And this is the same trajectory where one talks about, no, if you're on a student loan after 5 years you're not employed, we scrap off the loan. This is a revolving fund. The rationale around the student loans is a revolving fund. This is happening even in welfare states. Big economies like Norway, Sweden, they have a revolving fund. People have to pay.
Right.
So that the next person, the next child in the next 5 years will still be given a chance. So it's a revolving fund. How do you want to scrap it off? So if you have such a leader, then you're not fit for governance. We're not going to give a chance to somebody who's going to experiment. If people are seriously going to compete for presidents, they should give us reasons, tangible reasons, and a plan to economic transformation or growth, how you intend to expand this country. You can't just say nga tuwaisapo. You can't run a country in a magic way. You're not a magician. And this is a mistake we made in the past. We need one. This is why President Kennedy Chilema always mentioned graphs. I see the need for people to use graphs because you are able to plot and it gives you, in addition to mathematics, we were doing all those things. Graphs and parabolas. It shows you that when you do A plus B, it gets to E. How do you scrap off student loans? No, if you stay for 3 years without getting a job, we'll scrap off. Who will pay for the next child? It's a revolving fund. So now such a leader, these are people who scrapped off meal allowances. They have no understanding on how governance should be.
Mr. Sulimba, we have to go, but before we go, I'd love you to face this camera and remind the Zambian viewer what was bad then and why we are better off now.
We are better off now. We have free education. My sisters can go to school for free. No one will come under us me where I am today because I'm in this studio speaking about the government or either not. Cadres respect institutions. The police are respected. Cadres don't beat the police. Even in doing this campaign, the police have only been harassed by cadres of the opposition, not the ruling. So the political environment is safe enough. The economy is pointing to the right direction. So if such a government is given an opportunity to continue, we are guaranteed of a country on the rise. But if we go back to hooliganism, because what we ran away from as a country in 2021, it was a revolution running away from hooliganism. So we can't afford to get back to where we came from. It's a nation on the rise. President Hakainde Hichilema's leadership has been proven, tried and tested. Let's give him a second mandate. Aluta continua. God bless you all. Victoria Essenta.
All right, Mr. Edgar Sirimba, international relations, expert, joined us on this special edition of Spotlight, which was meant to be a debate, but his counterpart did not manage to make it to studio this evening. Policies can be debated, manifestos can be printed, and promises can be broken or fulfilled. But on 13th August, the mandate shall be in your hands. The power shall rest within the hands of you, the person watching this program right now. Demand accountability all the time as you count, as you place that vote. Make sure that you vote wisely. My name is